Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second series of 26 Minutes with. Today, we have a fantastic guest, someone who I'm connected with on LinkedIn. Followed the story for a very long time in both personal and business aspects. But today, we have 26 Minutes with Amanda Jane O'Hare. How you doing, Amanda?
Good, thank you.
Excellent. So for the people that don't know you, do you want to introduce yourself properly, give yourself a proper introduction, tell us a little bit about your background and why we're here today, really?
Okay, so excuse me, let's say it's season. So I always tend to lead with this, but I'm single mom to Ruby, and I'm very passionate about mental health. My background, my career background is actually in fitness. I've worked in the fitness industry for 12 years. I'm formerly UK PT ambassador for Fitness First UK. So I used to do my PT career, but at the same time I would do things to do with media, and I was able to write the coaching course or parts of it for the Royal Parks Half Marathon. So it was really powerful because it allowed me that platform to be able to how would I put it? Be able to relate fitness and nutrition back to mental well-being, because that was still quite new at that time. People weren't really as talking about it as much, I guess. So, but now, after my own experience with postpartum depression, I became really excited about learning about how to get better, live a life that allowed me to thrive instead of feeling like I was never myself or comfortable living as my true self. I don't know whether that makes sense. Does it?
I'm with you. I'm with you. We're on the same track. If it doesn't make sense, it just means that both of us think a different kind of way. But you're also the founder of Strong Mama Moves as well.
Yeah. So this is it. This is where I'm sort of coming into a different lane almost. So when I'm answering the question, because I'm doing quite a lot of interviews at the moment where people are like, what is it that you're doing? I'm almost in that pivot point where everybody is at right now, where we've had to change all of a sudden.
Yep.
And I've used that as an opportunity to go, how can I build my business the way I really want it? And I want to be able to take the power of exercise and nutrition and the mindset and the beliefs around it, and how I've been able to use those things to, again, not even just thrive, survive.
Yeah.
I used that. It was a massive part of my survival.
Yeah, of course. So with the PT, with everything that you go in, what you do right now, how important do you think it is for people to go out and make sure that they are getting their exercise and eating in the right way? How powerful do you think this is on someone's brain and someone's mental well-being?
Absolutely invaluable. But it's the way it's used that's really important. So I have a very strong belief that exercise and nutrition can be used as a tool for self-empowerment, for well-being, self-love, or it can be used for a weapon of self-hate, self-destruction, and it's about making that choice. And where things get a little bit hairy is what I see quite a lot is people want negative reinforcement or want to blame their willpower or blame something about themselves or the program that they use to almost catharsize. How do you use that word? Like to work their way through something that's painful using something else.
Okay, right. So a little bit of a focus kind of thing to help them get through.
Yeah, but it tends to be in a negative way.
Okay.
So right. We choose punishing fad diets or punishing workouts, or think I have to do it this way because this is the way it's got to be done. Okay. I need to do exercise in a way that it's painful, or I don't like it, otherwise it's not going to work. So my job, or what I'm trying to do, is trying to find a way, my way of teaching people that that's not not how you have to do it, to use exercise to empower yourself and that enjoyment, so you have the consistency there to get the benefits.
And this will be different for every client, because every client has a different kind of threshold. Everyone has their own kind of limits, and to where it becomes that very grueling and punishing. You know, people have those different levels of wear. So it's really about concentrating on the individual and doing some really kind of research within their background, and to where they are at as an individual, to how far you can push it with them.
It's absolutely, you'd like nailed it there. It's that's it. It's so bespoke. It's so down to each individual person. There are certain things that you'll find are across the board or similar to other people, but we all have different things that we love, and for different reasons. We've got things that we don't like, and for different reasons. And there's a lot of these preferences are built on areas of ourselves and our thinking and our experience that we aren't even aware of yet. So that's where I get really passionate about it, because I like to find out all those little details and simplify it into just, you just need to do this little bit. We like to go for overhaul. I need to change everything. I need to change it's all wrong. When it's not, it's usually there's one little tweak, one little change that can be made that makes all of the difference. And then it's running really smoothly, and we feel really good, and we feel really empowered, and we go, why didn't I think about that? And it's because it's easy for us to see these things in other people. Very difficult in ourselves.
Of course. And you know, that kind of relates, but I kind of find some relevance to what you've just said to how I feel and how I deal with my mental health, because a lot of the time when someone's suffering with poor mental health, there's just so many things that they think is making them feel like that, when really they sit down, they can simplify it. Right, okay, so that's not really having a major effect on how I feel right now, so that's not part of the problem. This isn't really, you know, I can do that, and that was so I go around and I find all my separate problems, and I find out which one is the root, which one is the stem to making me feel this bad. Why, you know, this is the reason why I'm struggling to get up in the morning, or this is the reason why I'm not eating properly. And it's all about making those little small changes, and then you'll start to see everything branch off in a more of a positive way, and you can deal with these other kind of things and not procrastinate and make it get worse. You take it from there, and everything grows together and more natural, and you feel a lot better in yourself, and gradually you start eating back on your big meals. You start getting up in the morning like that, you know, and you kind of start to repair your mood in that kind of way. And is that a similar kind of way?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Excellent.
I'm so excited, because it's essentially a discussion I had earlier on was around this. It's when you can take that heavy feeling and sort of separate yourself from it, and realize that it's not inherently you. There's something that's happening, something going on, and that we can go, I can take control of this. I can take power of this. I can change this. And getting excited about it. That's what I think is really exciting about like sort of self-development in fitness and nutrition and mental health, all of these different aspects, is that the moment you can take it, and this is from my personal sort of point of view, the moment I could take it from, this is terrible, and this is me, there's something wrong, to, okay, no, there's something that's caused this, there's something behind this. And I would start to get excited about the possibility, knowing that I could explore it and find the different things and get better, and that it wasn't going to be like all of a sudden everything is perfect, and this is never going to affect me again. And knowing that it's just something that you manage, and it becomes a fun project, which maybe sounds crazy sometimes, because when you're feeling terrible about yourself, or when you're feeling awful, having that feeling, it's almost like it's not hope, it's something more when you're like, yeah, this feels, but I know that if I just allow this feeling and try to understand it and understand where it's coming from, I can do something with this. I can work with this, and I can find the solution. So, and I think that's what's really powerful about not only the sort of the fitness industry and nutrition. And I always sort of, it's almost become a secondary for me, because it was my way of feeling good. The reason why exercise and nutrition became my career was because that was my way of dealing with and soothing myself when I didn't know how to deal with my emotions or how to deal with the problems that I'd been through or had faced. It was my way of soothing my pain. And now that I've been able to access the root causes of my pain points, I'm excited about that side. But I like using fitness and nutrition as those tools to empower or to get better.
Of course, excellent, excellent. So mental health, it affects many people in many walks of life. You know, not everyone wants to admit it, you know, because we're still trying to break down that kind of stigma, but everyone has a past with mental health. Do you mind sharing us a little bit about your journey over the years, or at the very beginning of your career, or even to where we are now?
I'm going to super condense it down. It's big. I can laugh now. It's all sort of roots started from the fact that when I was growing up, you know, my dad was an alcoholic, and he lost his life when I was 15. But then I would later experience the same thing again when I lost my mum to the same when I was 28. So I lost both of my parents to addictions, and as a child, I was quite hyperactive and running about in circles. It seemed I was happy. I was the joker and things. So my sister dealt with things a little bit differently. She was more withdrawn and things. So I tended to be the one that was like, she's fine. Like, she's fine. She can, you know, sort of deal with it. So I've kind of felt overlooked, I think, my entire life. And that kind of carried on. So if I skip over a little bit, when I did lose my dad, I wasn't very present in school for the year after. And I don't remember huge amounts of that period of that year either, but my attendance went way down. And I remember my guidance teacher taking me into the office and said, look, you know, this is awful. I know it's been hard, what with your dad and all, but let's face it, Amanda, it's almost been a year now. Not asking how I could be supported or anything like that. I was like, you know, this is a problem. She'd been like, oh, you know, you're not going to get to university, so you're going to have to apply for jobs, all this stuff. And I went back a couple of days later with 3 acceptances to the unis that I wanted to go to. And I think that's where my first seed was planted, to become quite perfectionist, become a busyholic, become someone that was always trying to achieve and do, and to gain a sense of worth. And I didn't really understand that or know that or realize that I didn't feel safe being still. I never felt safe being still. So I was always looking for something else to achieve. And I would achieve it because I could endure extreme amounts of emotional, physical, and psychological discomfort. So I could do so much, but I would always achieve these big goals and think, you know, this is it, this is going to be the one. And I would get to it. And then I'd be like, I'd drop into like such a depressive state, because I was like, I don't understand why that's not it. So I lived quite a life of self-destruction. But on one side, people saw the busy fitness professional that did cool stuff for a job and had a great time. What they didn't see was the girl that couldn't relate to other human beings, didn't know how to create connections, you know, terrible relationships, a lot of emotional pain that I would drink away at the weekends to black out. I'm not talking like just binge drinking, like drink to black out.
Yeah.
And I held these things in shame because it was like a double life I was leading. So I felt like I was destroying my own career, and it was my guilty secret. What I didn't realize that I was just in a lot of pain, and I didn't feel safe to stop and try and understand it. And
in that period of time, did you see quite a lot of people come in and out of your life?
I probably didn't stay in any particular space long enough to really even notice. Like I did have relationships up until I was about 26, and when I was 26, the boyfriend that I had, you know, he wasn't very trustworthy. And when I found out he cheated on me, and of course he knew what my life was like and everything like that, I just lost all faith that I could trust anyone, because I couldn't trust people. Like my mum would do things to break like both my sister and my trust, and you know, so I found it very difficult to trust people. And I used to always say to people, you know, I keep on going out with commitment phobes. I keep on going out with commitment phobes, or I don't have time for relationships. What I didn't realize was that I was the commitment phobe.
Yeah.
It took me until having Ruby to realize that I was seeking out my life experience and keeping going. And it was really painful to discover that, but it was also the thing to set me free.
Yeah, of course. Where you know, it's like that realization kind of thing where you think, you kind of start looking back on things and think, maybe if I knew what I know now about myself, maybe this could have worked or that could have worked. But then you've got to think, I have a future ahead with my daughter. So it's all about from what happens now going forward, because what happened in the past, even though some things would have been bad and terrible, and, you know, you probably judged yourself over a couple of things possibly. I know that I did when I was going through really bad stages in my life, that after I started to judge myself about things. And then when kind of things kind of come into play and you now have someone else to think about, as in your daughter, and the same with me, you kind of look forward and think, this is now what I need to do to change. And I sometimes do things now. I get myself into a position where I start to feel really low, and I try to chuck myself into something big to try and make myself feel better. And yes, for the first week or two, it really works well. But what happens after that is that I now run out of steam. I now run out of my get up and go, because I'm still suffering from whatever's happened to make me feel in that bad way. And I've impulsively chucked myself into something to try and make me feel better. And it does for the first couple of weeks. But after that's died down, I feel so run down. And sometimes I have to cut a project short, and I feel so bad about it that I should never have started this project in the beginning, because now I feel that I'm not just letting myself down, I'm letting other people down. So now I've kind of took that stance on things, that if I can't complete this project, or I can't give this project my all, I'm not going to start it. Because I feel that when I do, I let a lot of other people down, and then that's me down in the dumps for an even more couple of weeks. You know, so I try to make sure that everything that I do now, that I do have the time, that I do have the commitment, that I am in the right frame of mind, just so then I can keep my focus on doing the right thing. You know, I don't cut corners with anything or anything like that. But so what are your plans going forward now then? So you've got the PT, the PT business. What are your plans going forwund?
I can super relate to everything that you just said there.
Really?
And I mean, it takes so much self-awareness. And I think for me anyway, becoming a parent really, really helped with that. So like right now, going forward, well, I've just started my degree in social psychology. So, so yeah, continuing with the business, but it's more of a consultancy based kind of thing. So where I take the information that someone gives to me and talks to me about, and I find those beginning habits or steps. So at the moment I'm doing sort of like a power hour kind of setup rather than a full coaching, because I love the idea of being able to help people to understand that they have the power they have everything they need to go and achieve what they want to do. And by me going, right, this is a plan, off you go, that's kind of negating that a little bit. So I'm giving people the tools to realize that they've got everything that they need already there. It's just identifying that first step or 2 steps or few steps, whatever it is, to help them keep going. And then they can either, I do full coaching.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the idea. I like to see how someone gets on with that, because quite often that's all we need is just that little bit of direction that we maybe didn't,
or just a little nudge, just
a little bit. But yeah, the degree has been playing on my mind for a long time. So I thought, do you know what, like you were saying, I was like, maybe it's something that I just want to do, but it's never going to go away. So I'm going to start it, and if it's just not for me, then at least I know. But long term, like, I'd really, really like to take everything that I've learned and that I'm learning, and the passions and everything, and hopefully keep on going until I get to PhD level, so I can do research around the benefits of what we were talking about. So that's kind of the pipe dream, is continuing the consultancy work and trying to help as many people as possible. Excellent. But sharing what I'm learning as I'm going as well. Yeah,
of course. Excellent. So so your main clientele were obviously adults. Have you ever thought, because obviously you got your child now as well, and you suffered quite a bit through going through a traumatic time through school as well, have you ever looked into kind of a children's setup or anything like that, kind of a plan where you can try and help a few more children through the school, colleges with things like this? Has this ever come up before?
I haven't yet. It's something that eventually I'd love to be able to do. I think my experience so I didn't touch upon it, and that's, my story's massive, but I experienced postpartum depression, and from being overlooked throughout life, I had the same in postpartum. So I kind of got fobbed off by the doctors, essentially. So I took my healing into my own hands. And what I thought was, okay, because of the way that I am, I was able to go and do that. But there's a lot of people that have braved going and asking for help, that are maybe being turned away, that are very good at showing, like, I've got this, but need that support. So I think where I'm sort of going to be looking in terms of families and children and things is looking at if a lot of trauma goes on in sort of like childhood and stuff, is there a way that awareness can be brought to parenting, kind of this sort of helping the adults as like, so that's kind of where my thought process is that I think that a lot of abuse and things that are accidental, like a lot of trauma is not, conscious, like, I'm trying to hurt you stuff. Like my parents, they weren't consciously trying to hurt me. They were struggling, they were hurting, and they didn't know what I know. I only know what I know because I saw what happens when you don't. That's like kind of how it is. So a lot of it's accident. I think a lot of it could be prevented with just a little bit more understanding and extraction of shame, giving people the opportunity to make choices. So so it feels like really huge, and I get overwhelmed at times. So I try and go, right, okay, this is the end game, but I'm just gonna maybe just put that over there, and we'll just try and take one step at a time, because sometimes I have stopped myself from doing taking steps towards this work, because I've thought, this is a huge project, this is a huge goal and aspiration that I have to help and change. But because it feels so much bigger than me, I panic and then go,
of course. I think that's just a kind of natural feeling, and and it sits deep in there sometimes, so it's very difficult to kind of move forward when you have these little niggling thoughts and everything. But Just before we go, Amanda, I always ask if you have any tips for people that are going to view this to help with their mental well-being, help with their mental health, you know, and also relation to what you do with the PT and nutrition that could help people just maybe have a better day or to see things a little bit different in their life.
One of my favorite tools is journaling.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say setting intentions for the day. So like getting active and things like that is just is an intention we make. So by journaling in the morning, what I do is I write down what I'm gonna do for the day. Because what that's going to do is that's going to stop me making a huge to-do list I can't possibly get through, that I'll later shame myself for. So it allows me to identify, right, these are the things that are the part of my routine. This is what I'm going to do. And that's the simplest way really to add fitness into your day, is to just acknowledge it as part of your routine. But it's good practice as
Every day
well.
you have to do, yeah.
Yeah, it's but like, so just going for a walk, that like, don't go, I'm gonna do 5 hours like a week, every week. It's too big. It's too, like,
Yeah.
we're going through so much. I'm gonna go for a walk, today for 10 minutes around the block just to get some fresh air because it'll clear my head.
Yeah.
Take the pressure out of it. So by doing the journaling in the morning, saying this is what I'm gonna do today, but also saying this is how I'm going to show up. I'm showing up and how you want to be. So I want to feel good, or just anything. And I'm amazing. Talking to yourself like you would talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
Things that you're grateful for. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just being nice to yourself. Journaling. I do lots of, that's part of my sort of coaching strategy.
Yeah, of course.
I tend to like personalize journaling strategy. I use it for everything. So that's, I would say, write your feelings, write what you're going to do. And
yeah, excellent. Well, I do a lot of walking now. I make sure that I get out for my daily walks, but I've actually just set myself a challenge. I'm doing a physical fundraiser that's coming up for mental health services for ex-military, and next month I'll be starting a 3-week training locally. And at the end of the 3 weeks, I'll attempt to pass the military fitness test that everyone has to take to get in there within 3 weeks. So any advice for me setting up on this challenge? Now, put in mind that I don't do a lot of fitness. The last time I done any sort of running or anything like that was last year when I run 100 miles for an autism charity. I'd done that and I haven't done any running since. And before that, it was a good couple of years before I'd done anything. So I was off my feet for a couple of weeks after the run had finished. So any advice on me on how I should be approaching this?
I do you know what? I'll send you a message with some like ideas and things, especially for recovery.
Yep.
One thing I said in a meeting last week, someone was saying something about an event that they were going to be doing. And it's not so much that people overtrain. Overtraining's thrown out there. It's if you don't eat enough to cover your training, your body will tell you, and it will be angry. So eating enough, definitely. But as long as you know your objectives, so once you've got that goal, you've got clear cut goals.
Yeah.
You know what you have to achieve in that time. So you need to reverse engineer that goal and think of the way that's going to get you there in the most effective, energy sparing, mind kind way possible. It's all in the planning and the strategy and the enthusiasm behind it. And you've got buckets, which is brilliant.
Yeah, indeed. Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today, Amanda. I'm sure the people that see this will learn a little bit more about you, your journey, and also what we've discussed today. So thank you so much for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure, but we'll continue to watch your journey, continue to watch you grow as an individual and as a business owner. Very excited to see where it takes you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No problem. See you later.
Bye.